The episode opens with a man. He was driving his bike on the hills. Seemed like a normal day until he saw a truck in front of him with a vending machine. He saw the straps holding the vending machine tearing down and thought that for some reason he needs to save the vending machine. He hit the gas to hold the machine in place and forgot about the turn. As a result, he went flying down the hill while hugging the vending machine. He wakes up and sees a lake in front of him. He thinks he's lucky to survive and tries to get up, but his body doesn't move. He tries to scream for help, but the only words that come out are hello. There he realizes that it's his voice, and tries to say other words, but all he says are pre-recorded vending machine messages. He gets more confused, but he looks down and sees his reflection. He was turned into a vending machine. He thinks this is pretty much a joke, but after looking at his reflection again, he starts to praise his new image. Not only that, but he also even praises his own prices, until he realizes that being reborn as a vending machine is the worst possible thing. Or maybe not. I mean, he was reborn as the thing he loved the most. He tests all his recorded messages, realizing he cannot speak to anyone, but he starts to enter his role-play mode. What else can he do as a vending machine? He closes his eyes and concentrates until he sees a message appearing in his head. He's currently selling only cold mineral water and warm corn soup. He then heard a voice telling that he could sell more stuff if she spent points. Those points are converted from money and he can use them to stock up, get new products, and get new functions. He also finds out he can use them to keep items cold or warm. He decides to check his other functions and possible items that he could sell. He goes through the list of items and decides to spend 10 points to get cold milk tea. Suddenly, one row of water bottles magically transforms into milk tea. He researches even more and finds out that he can sell them for 100 yen, which will be converted to 1 point. With more research, he finds out he doesn't need electricity to run himself because he converts 1 point into 1 inch of energy, which means he has to earn 24 yen per day just to stay alive. He only spent 10 points to get the milk tea, so he still has 990 points remaining. But he knows that he cannot spend points randomly because he will die if nobody buys anything from him, which is already pretty hard because he's in the middle of nowhere. He then suddenly sees some movement in the water. He happily thinks it's a client, but turns out it's a frog. This frog was as big as a human wearing armor and holding a club, something that he should be surprised by, but being a vending machine is way more shocking. He thought the frog was his first customer, so he played his pre-recorded voice. "Hello there." The frog panicked and backed down just to smack him. He took 3 damage and his durability was reduced by the same amount. The frog continued to strike, and he found out that durability is his health points. The system warned that if durability reached 0, the machine would break and become unusable. Most of the vending machine stats was at 0, except for durability and toughness, which stood at 10. He accepted that other stats are unnecessary, but gets surprised about the magic stat. That only means that magic exists in this world. The fog continued to strike, damaging him. The system tells that he can restore his durability by spending points, but the frog decided to call 3 more frogs with bats and axes instead. His durability was decreasing even faster. Now he tried to check the system to find any solution until he saw the skill blessing. The system tells him that he doesn't need to spend points to get it because it's a special power granted by a god. He ends up picking that skill, but the system gives him a new list, this time filled with skills like swordsmanship and martial arts. I mean, what is he going to do without arms or legs? Their ability is almost reaching a critical value when he sees the barrier skill. He immediately picks it and finds out that it will create an invisible barrier to protect him. Plus he picks who or what can get close to him. He activates the skill and the barrier knocks the frogs away, but they don't give up. They get up and start hitting the barrier. After a full day, they finally give up and walk away. He spends points to recover his durability, but that cost him over 600 points. And if he doesn't sell anything in 10 days, he will die. Several days have passed and he already accepted his fate. He wished he could at least have sold something before dying. Suddenly he hears a hunter girl shouting. She's in a fighting posture, but doesn't attack him. She's hungry and doesn't have the strength to fight monsters. She starts blaming herself because she tried to beat the frogs, but she couldn't even hit them. Plus, the frogs even stole her lunch. Suddenly, she notices Boxo. She's confused and thinks that he's a monument. After all, he's the only vending machine in that world. She's impressed to see drinks being displayed. Boxo then uses his recorded message to welcome her and tells her to insert coins. The girl is confused. I mean, she never saw talking metal box before. She easily concludes coins mean money. She's a genius but wonders about the costs. copper coins, silver coins, or even gold ones. She inserts a copper coin, but it's returned. She thinks that it's not enough, but the system tells Box so that he needs the coin conversion function to accept the coin. He buys the function for 100 points. When the prices get adapted to this world's currency but the water bottle is 1 silver coin, the girl thinks it's expensive, but she's hungry. She inserts the silver coin and picks the corn soup. She picks up the soup bottle and gets happy because it's warm. She opens it up and starts drinking and finds it tastier than most of the stuff she's been eating. Boxo finally feels happy in this world. He feels pleased that someone was satisfied with his products. But the girl wants to try more stuff, especially milk tea. She bought more soup, water, and milk tea. She spent 6 silver coins and 30 kappas that was converted to 63 points. She ate everything and fell asleep beside Boxo. He decided to activate his barrier to protect her. After all, she is the only customer. She wakes up the next day happy that she could eat and rest, so she thanks Boxo, who replies with his thank you message. She thinks he can speak, but he doesn't reply. She mentioned her friend who researched magical items that contain sealed voices, speculating whether he was the same. She asked him to say something if he understood. In response, he uttered hello, which made her happy, and lead her to believe that it meant yes. She introduces herself and Lammies and suggested he use another word for no. He replied, too bad. She asked his name, but he replied too bad. Smiling, she indicated that she understood his situation. She got happy and decided to show Boxo to his friend. She immediately picked him up and started to walk away. He couldn't understand how she could carry him, but thanked her in his heart. While traveling, he found out that Lammies can easily carry him away because her blessing gives her insane strength. She decided to have a quick stop and eat some soup, but he felt bad for her because it wasn't so filling, so he used his points to exchange for some chips. She was surprised to see the new product and asked if it was food. He replied yes. She decided to buy them and fell in love with the taste. She couldn't stop eating and bought 32 cans of chips. That's some easy 320 Boxo points. Lammies continued carrying him until they reached the nearby village. The village guards were happy to see her safe because her hunting group got back to the village very injured. But they're curious about the metal box she was carrying, she explains. She found it by the lakeside and decided to take it with her. She explains how it works, but they end up confused. They had never seen a vending machine before. She gets worried that she shouldn't have bought Boxo. The guards say it's okay because if you find something in a dungeon then it's yours. Boxo is confused as hell. They talk about levels and wonder if he's inside a labyrinth. The guards ask if they can buy something, and Boxo replies with yes. They get startled to hear a machine talking. They think she can sell it for a high price, but she won't do it. She will visit her friend. The guards insert their coins and buy corn soup and milk tea. They love it and end up buying everything. They ask her to bring Boxo in the future because they cannot leave their place while guarding. Lammies agrees and proceeds to the village. But she notices something strange in an alleyway. There's a bunch of creeps making a little girl cry. She moves toward them and kicks one into Narnia while carrying Boxo and then confronts the remaining 2. They end being scared cats and run away. Lammies checks on the girl and goes back to her place. Her friend immediately jumps on her and hugs her. She was so worried about her. She notices Boxo and asks what it is. Lammies explains everything and places Boxo outside so that people can buy stuff. Boxo then finds out that he's inside of a dungeon and that Lammies need to pay for a teleport circle to go back to the surface, but she cannot use it because she used her money on him. Boxo quickly became famous and people were buying stuff left and right. He managed to get over 3,000 points, but people were already tired of his items, so he decided to add items to his menu. The guards immediately bought it and found it delicious. More and more people started to buy them, but Boxo didn't want to ruin the local and restaurant, so he turns food unavailable during the day and only sells it at night. Lammies is still helping him make his sales by carrying around, and hopes that one day he will be able to talk to her without pre-recorded messages. That brings the episode to an end. Things continue with Boxer. He was scared when a bear comes up to him, but it turns out that the bear is the head of the Hunters Association. He was surprised to see Boxo and he came to ask for help. He tells them that they are going to attack the frog monster's base and he wants them to come with them. Lammies doesn't understand why he wants to bring Boxo who can't fight, but the director says that his ability to make warm, ready-to-eat food on the go would be very helpful to the hunts, and he promises to keep them safe. Lammies isn't sure, but Boxo thinks that ignoring the frog monsters could put the town in danger, so he agrees to go. 3 days later they leave and we find out that the frogs seem to be breathing, so there are an unusually large number of them. The director says that they are making sure to guard the transfer circle in their village because it is the key to getting in and out of the dungeon. Meanwhile, the hunters from the town, there is also a group of hunters called the Misfits who are excited to make some money by joining this raid. When the hunters stop for a break, Lammy's puts Boxio down. One of the members comes up to her and tells her not to worry so much because they are there to protect them. He wants to see Boxo and Lammy's tells him what to do with him. The man decides to give it a try. He chooses a lemon tea and is pleased by how it is packaged. When the man tries to drink, he likes it. He is surprised that it's even us and he wants to know where everything comes from. Lammy's tells him that Boxo seems to just keep filling himself up. The man becomes even more interested. So he calls his vice captain Philmina. She calls him Captain Carryoil, which surprises Boxer when he finds out that he is the boss. Carryoil says that Thelma is an expert on magic tools, so he asks her what else she knows about Boxo. She looks at him, but she doesn't feel any magic from him. Instead, she says he looks like a block of iron. Carryoil talks about how he seems to magically refill himself. He thinks the items could be coming from another world. Philmina says it could be the power of a blessing, but she doesn't think that's likely. Carryoil thinks it's strange, but he chooses to just be glad he's there. The director tells them they're going camping for the night and Boxo thinks this is his chance to shine. Everyone is waiting in line to buy from him, and we can see that he is also selling cup noodles on this trip. Everyone likes it, and Boxo notices a girl who looks like she has a big stomach. When Lammy's gets to know her, she tells her name is Shui. Later that night, the director meets them and he tells Lammy's that the frog den is about 3 hours away. He tells her she can stay at the camp or go with the hunters to the battlefield. Lammy's doesn't mind going because she is also a hunter, but she is worried about Boxo. Boxo says he doesn't care though, so they decide to join the fight. The next day they get to the frog camp, but it is foggy and they have to walk through mud to get there. When the director says attack, we see the shooters kill the frogs. Carryoil tells his team that they'll get more money the more people they kill, which gets them excited. Boxo was worried about llamas because she has trouble getting her hits to land. She jumps at a frog, but it is easy for her to blow it away. She can't believe she got a hit, and it looks like having Boxo on her back is helping her stay balanced. The Misfits killed the frogs, and Phil Mining uses water magic to kill 3 of them at once. But then even more frogs show up, which seems strange to Carryoil. We can see that they are surrounded, and Boxo begins to worry. When frogs come at them, Shui guards Lammy's, but then a frog goes for Shui. Lammy's gets ready to defend her, but Box's shield blows away the frog. When the girls see the barrier, they are confused and don't know what's going on. But Boxo is glad he kept them safe. He spends 1,000 points on a new skill that will help him see more. Lammy's tells him to keep an eye on her back and Carryoil tells her how strong she is. When Lammy's hears this, she gets red in the face. Boxo tries to tell her that they are being attacked, but she is too busy to listen, so he uses his barrier again to blow them away. Carryoil is shocked to see the barrier, and Lammy's says it must be Boxo's power. His makes Carryoil even more interested in Boxo, but Boxo thinks he might be dangerous. They end up beating all of the frogs, so Kilroy tells his team to cut their mouths so that the association will pay them. Philmina tells him to help because it's gross, but Carryoil says he became captain so he wouldn't have to deal with that. His team calls him a bully because of this. They don't know what to do next and Carryoil suggests that they help out on the front lines. Philmina tells him that it's their job to keep Lammy's and Boxo safe. Carryoil wants to make more money and says he can give them all a bonus. Philmina says it's up to Lammy's to decide what to do. Carryoil begs Lammy's to go with them and Lammy's is happy to help the hunters on the front lines. They catch some more frogs and hurt a lot of shooters. Boxo thinks about what he can do to help while the Lammy's carry them to the wagon. He thinks of a plan and chooses to give them free drinks. The hunters are glad to have him and the director is grateful that Carryoil saved them. The director says there were twice as many frogs as he thought there would be, and Lammy's doesn't understand how that's possible. The director thinks it must mean that the Frog King has risen, and Boxo tries to imagine how strong it could be. The director asks Carryoil for help to beat it, and Carryoil tells Lammy's to stay behind to help treat and feed the injured hunters. Later that night, Lammy's is asked to help some of the other hunters, but a suspicious man comes up to Boxo. Boxo figures out that the man wants his money, so he gives him a free drink. When the man tries to take it, Boxo burns his hand with hot soup. Boxo makes fun of him, but the man is getting ready to beat him up. But Lammy's comes back just in time, and she ends up putting him out and holding him down. Meanwhile, something is up in the distance, and all of a sudden the Frog King appears. The hunters are all scared because they don't know why it's there. Lammy's slowed Boxo on the wagon, but the pigs are too scared to move. Lammy's lets them go, which makes the hunters wonder what she is doing, but she ends up trying to pull the wagon with her own strength. Boxo doesn't know what to do because he thinks his barrier won't save everyone. He looks through his list of items for thoughts on how to slow down the monster. He buys Coke in the end, and Lammy's thinks that he has a plan. They get a Coke and he buys the ability to change his shape, which turns him into a candy machine. He's full of Mentos, and Lammy's doesn't know what she should do. Since he can't talk well, it's word for him to explain his plan. So he keeps telling her to answer with the coin. She doesn't get what he's trying to say, and the Frog King comes up to her. The shooter thinks he must be broken, but Lammy's can tell that Boxo was doing his best. Boxo can't help, but the thief wakes up and sees the Frog King. He doesn't want to die, so he asks to be let go, but the hunter steps his lips to stop him from talking. But he starts to choke, so they give him some Coke, which makes him blow up. This gives Lammy's an idea which helps her figure out what Boxo is up to. She tells the other hunters about it and they use the Coke to shoot the frog right in the eyes. Carryoil and the director are able to go back in time and kill the Frog King. They all have a party and the director apologizes to Lammy's for putting her in danger. He also thanks Boxo for saving them all and tells them that their job is over. That brings the episode to an end. Thanks for watching and I hope you all enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. The story continues. After the exciting battle against the frogs, the hunters safely return to the village along with Lammy's and Boxo. Boxo tells us that no unusual events have transpired on his way back home, but at the end of their journey, he sees a huge cloud of smoke coming from the village. Seeing that Kirioil's party gets shocked, but Director Bear keeps his composure. He first apologizes to everyone as he will need their help again after all that work, and reveals that they must fight this unknown enemy. Now Lammy's gets in tears wondering if Monami and the others are okay. Boxo realizes that Lammy's must be very close to Monami, so he understands why she feels so worried for her. He wants to comfort her, but since he has only preset dialogues, he cannot express his feelings very well. So he looks for another way and tells Lammy's to insert coins forward to here. It seems Lammy's understands Boxo's language pretty well, as she realizes that he is trying to tell her to go to the village first before assuming that something bad happened. So Lammy's keeps her hopes up and heads to the village to see what has happened. After entering the village, Lammy's and the group see that all of the houses are completely in shambles. Boxo sees huge drag marks and assumes that something huge got dragged through here while he is wondering what that might be. Lammy's rushes forward hoping that her inn is okay, but when she reaches there, she sees that the inn is also completely destroyed. Lammy screams Monami and Mrs.'s names, but none of them respond. Boxo realizes that at this rate, Lammy's will recklessly run inside the inn to look for them and hurt herself, so he tells her to calm down and think rationally. So Lammy's takes a deep breath and concludes that since there's no answer, Monami and Mrs. must have evacuated somewhere else. She thinks hard about where they could have evacuated and realizes that they went to the Hunters Association. So she and Boxo head to the Hunters Association to find out what has caused the trouble there. She runs into her two old associates and high-level hunters named Karios and Gorth, who seem to have already slayed the two-headed snake-like monster that has wrecked the village. Karios feels relieved that Lammy's is safe and sound, and knowing that she might be worried about Mrs. and Monami, Karios tells her that both of them are safe inside. Gorth also mentions that the transfer circles is fully defended, which according to Director Bear, is the most important thing in the village. Boxo realizes that the only reason the hunters managed to defeat such a monster is because this place was built inside a dungeon. Therefore, this place also has high-level defensive weapons everywhere. Lammy's finally goes to see Monami and Mrs., and they welcome her back after her long journey. Seeing their happy faces, Lammy's feels greatly relieved. It seems that all of the villagers are safe, which makes Boxo happy even though he has only lived there for a few weeks. So he realizes that he must have grown to care for them and doesn't want to lose any of. Boxo feels that all the more because he has already died once. So he decides to give all the villagers his food supplies for free. Because they get free food, the villagers get happy and throw a feast at night. The hunters light a campfire to celebrate their victory against the frog fiend and the two-headed snake monster. Boxo shows what a genius he is by explaining to us that the snake monster is apparently a natural enemy of the frogmen, so it's great that both parties ended dying. Boxo then sees that the villagers are actually cooking the monster meat to eat, which disgusts him. After eating the meal, the villagers need to have drinks once again, so they line up in front of Boxo to get free drinks. But Boxer doesn't think that he is losing money, rather he believes that he will be making more money by getting more customers. After the feast, a drunk Lamies comes to Boxo to tell him how her day went. She feels happy that everything went well and also feels more happy to see how everyone gathered in front of Boxo. She tells Boxo that she believes that he has become a necessary part of this place and that also makes her happy. She then hugs Boxo and falls asleep right then and there. Boxo understands how pure-hearted Lamies is, ends the day by wishing her good night. The next day, the merchants get busy getting their shops ready. A lot of carpenters have also gathered around to fix the broken houses. While the hunters are on guard duty, Boxo tells us that Lamies has gone to meet Director Bear for a commotion. He wonders if Lamies will get some reward for being such a great help on this expedition. While Boxo is still in his thoughts, Lamies approaches him and reveals that she has gotten a personal request for rubble removal from Director Bear. She immediately goes to do her work and, using her blessing of might, she starts to collect all the rubble and clear the areas. Carrioel approaches her to invite her to join his hunter's team and offers to take in Boxo too. But Lamies refuses as she needs to do the job that is assigned to her first. A woman named Akohi, claiming to be from the exchange house, approaches Boxo alongside her assistant, Godguy Akohi. Tells Lamies that she has come here to trade silver coins with Boxo. Akohi claims that she has brought 100 gold coins with her and wants to exchange them with Box's saved up silver coins. Boxo realizes it's quite a lot of money since 1 gold coin is equal to 100 silver coins, but he still rejects Akohi's offer as he doesn't have any exchange functions. Lamies comes to Akohi's rescue and comes up with a plan to use 1 gold coin to buy a cheap item so that Boxo is forced to return what she owes with silver coins. Akohi does that and silver coins keep showering from Boxo, so she keeps doing so and begins to fill her bag with silver coins. The evil guy who tried to steal Boxo's earnings before gets greedy, seeing this once again, and comes up with another evil plan. After exchanging coins with Akohi, Boxo decides to add a gambling function to him, and after installing it he gets 30% more money than the usual. An old man gets addicted to gambling and makes Boxo the most money while losing his own fortune. So his wife drags him away, promising to give him a good beating. Director Bear again calls Lamies and also Boxo to the Hunters Association and thanks both for all their help. He tells Boxo that he has a favor to ask in private and requests that Lamies leave the room for this. So once Lamies is outside, Director Bear tells Boxo that he will need his help by providing them food to fight the famine. That will definitely hit them because of the destruction of the village. The bear needs another helping hand from Boxo, and he calls a woman named Shirley inside, who tells Boxo about the diseases that might also come with the famine. So they would need to contain the population, so Boxo turns into a family planning machine and gives Shirley a packet that can stop reproduction. Seeing how good the product is and how it could also help to contain diseases as well as the population, Shirley decides to purchase a large portion and distribute the product in the entertainment district. After making lots of sales, Lamies carries Boxo back to the inn. The cunning girl, named Swarry, tries to pick up a fight with Boxo and brings rocks to damage him, so he calls for help and she gets taken away by her own guards, but she remains resilient and comes again to pick up a fight. But before she can, Boxo offers her a free mango juice, so he finally gets on her good side. Later at night, Lamies carries Boxo inside the new hygiene center made by Shirley, and for some reason, she thinks that it would be a great thing to change her clothes right in front of him. Boxo then turns into a beauty product machine and gives Lamies a product to make her skin glow. A fox and a bear female come there and also get beauty products from Boxo to attract the males. Shirley and Lamies take a bath, and afterward they ask for a drink from Boxo that can make them feel more refreshed. After helping them with their needs, Boxer ends his day with high sales success. The next day the old man comes again to gamble, and this time he brings his granddaughter to teach her as well. After teaching her the rules of the lottery games, he tells her to play thinking she might bring good luck to him. The girl actually wins as she gets a 777 and gives her grandpa the winning price, which is just a bottle of a soft drink. The old man gets happy for a second, but his happiness quickly goes away as he realizes that he has wasted all of his day doing nothing. But his granddaughter feels happy that she got to spend the day with her grandpa after so many days. The old man finally realizes what is more precious to him, and that is his family. So he happily returns to his family, ending Boxo's gambling business. Director Bear learns that Boxo can hide his presence and blend in with his surroundings. So he asks Boxo a favor: turn invisible, so that he can identify the recent offender who is secretly committing a lot of crimes in the village. But before that, Director Bear wants to test if Boxo has what it takes and takes him in front of the Hunters Association. Boxo becomes invisible with the goal of passing the test. Lammy's begins to look for him and learns from Monami that Director Bear borrowed him for today. So she decides to head to the Hunters Association after collecting all of the rubble left today. After collecting the ruins of the houses, Lammy's happily comes there and runs into Shirley, who asks her where the director. Lammy's tells her that the director is busy right now and wonders what Boxo is doing right now. After delivering the rubble, Lammy's heads back and sees Sworry coming her direction, so she stops to talk with her right in front of the invisible Boxo. Lammy's scolds Sworry for always messing with Boxo, but instead of learning her lesson. Sworry then begins to insult Lammy's. Lammy's remains unshaken even after Sworry's insults and tells her to stop being a brat. But Sworry keeps acting like a brat and tells Lammy's that she wants to buy Boxo from her. Lammy's knows that Sworry is the child of the rich noble in town, so she must be offering the big bucks. But still, Lammy's doesn't want to sell Boxo not because he is our friend, but because he is a literal cheat code for this world system. So she tells Sworry that no matter how much money she offers, she won't be handing over Boxo. Sworry tells Lammy's that she will offer her so much money that Lammy's family will fritter it away for 3 generations and still not run out. But Lammy's makes it clear that she can't sell Boxo since she technically doesn't own. Besides, mere paper can't replace a magical being, so Sworry tells Lammy's to set her priorities straight, and thinks that instead of wasting her day with a block of iron, she should find a man who could fill her needs. Moreover, she thinks that Boxer would be happier spending time with her than a girl who has no sex appeal. But Lammy's knows she has plenty and plays in Uno, reverse on Sworry. So Sworry feels insulted and tells her that she is still growing. They both get into banter about who is hotter than the other, but end up getting nowhere. So Sworry gives up and finally becomes serious. She asks Lammy's if she knows that Boxo isn't just some magical tool. Lammy's explains that she is not sure what he is and thinks of Boxo as a human rather than a tool. Hearing that, Boxo gets thankful for having such a great, understanding friend and thanks Lammy's once Sworry leaves. That brings the episode to an end.